Hi guys, today I'd like to start a new section at CodeMonkeyKing's YouTube channel, and this is going to be dedicated to web programming. And the thing we are going to take a quick look today is node.js and expressjs framework, one of the most popular frameworks for node.js basically. So this is all about backend web scripting. So we are gonna set up a server that would serve some static web service. And if you actually is going to do this from the very scratch, it needs quite a bunch of code basically. But using this Express framework, we can actually write our entire service in about 6 lines of code in JavaScript. And without further ado, I'd like actually to start explaining things in this tutorial series. Well, maybe not the series, maybe this is going to be just a one video here, at least dedicated to this particular topic. So the first and the most complicated thing you would ever face while following this tutorial is actually the need to install the node.js itself, and this can be done over here. So if you're on Windows, on macOS, or on Linux, it doesn't matter. Well, I am on Linux. I did have it somewhere. Yeah, so the Linux download is also available over here. So if you're not sure how to do this, try to Google, and this is not basically the topic for this tutorial, how to install this. For I'm on Linux and you might be on any other platform. And with the latest versions of Node.js also comes the program, that some sort of a command line application that is called npm, or yeah, it's over here, a node package manager. The earlier versions didn't really have it, but from now on it's basically included, so no need to install it separately. Well, and the npm tool is going to be heavily used during this video. Well, maybe not really heavily, but it's really important. And the Express framework would be basically installed with the help of this little command already involved in the npm. But this --safe is not really needed in the versions of when the npm is the version higher than 5. So currently it's my current version is probably about 6. Let me just quickly check this out. Yeah, so when you have a version more than 5, well, basically this --safe over here is not needed, but you can still use it. Well, it would just install the dependency in the package.json file in your project folder. Okay, now let's basically start. And before that, I have also created this static web.shit file. So this is basically a simple kind of guide that helps you to go along this tutorial. And this code is actually the entire code we're supposed to actually write in this tutorial. Well, I'm going to type this by hands, explaining what's going on actually, but just to give you an idea that it's going to be really tiny piece of code here. And these commands actually would help us during initializing our project, creating it, and setting up some modes in order to make the debugging process more convenient. So let's basically start. And the first thing we actually need is actually to initialize a new project. So let's just create a new folder wherever we want to create it, and let's call this static web service. Just a new folder, and I actually enter this folder, and I open the terminal over here. So you have to change directory into the particular folder you're now actually working at. And now the first thing to do is to execute a command node package manager npm init -y. -y lets you well, if you don't type this -y, that it would be actually asking you too many questions like how to name the project, etc. But just adding -y does the things for you, and here it is. So it creates the basic package.json file, which handles all the future dependencies that would be needed for this particular web app we're building now. So here we have the name, the version, some description is optional, so nothing here apparently, and so on. And now let's see what's the next step. So now we would need actually to install two things: the Express framework itself, using the Node package manager, and the tool called node.mon. It's like not the node daemon, as I was actually reading this when saw this label for the first time. It's not node daemon, it's node.mon. Okay guys, it's a bit of a fun basically of calling this command line tools like this, like node daemon, node.mon. Okay, so let's basically just install them. So here I type basically like npm install express. I can add save, but that's not needed if you have the version higher than 5. So I just hit enter here, and now it fetches some data and installs the dependency into the working folder. And now if we just see the what has changed in package.json file, that we actually see over here that he edits a dependency here for the Express framework, and that's quite pretty nice. And another thing we want to actually install called node.mon, not node daemon. So now node.mon, and node.mon is a very handy tool that allows you not to restart the server every time you've made a single change in your source code. So it's extremely handy. Every time you would hit something like Control S in your text editor, it would restart the server for you automatically, and the new changes would be applied just as soon as you would update your page in the browser. So that's really handy. And now one little more thing to consider. So well, actually now we need to make a little adjustment to our package.json file in order to set up the node.mon correctly. So I just opened the text editor with the file package.json here, and it also added the node.mon dependency here. And here in the scripts for the node.mon, we would like make some modifications. So the default script would be called start, and what it is supposed to do is actually simply to execute the command node server.js. We didn't yet create our server.js file, but for now, well, let's just print it over here. And another configuration would be called, well, say debug. And this is what are we going to actually use in this tutorial. So it's like two modes, debug and the production mode. So in the debug mode we would use node.mon instead to run the server.js. So this is it. And now I just exit from here, and let's see to our cheat sheet more. So now everything has been set up, and in order to run our server we would need to use the command npm run and the name of the particular script that we have created in this scripts collection over here. So but before running this, let's actually create let's start creating our web server, and this is going to be interesting. So I'll open another terminal here to have a text editor in a separated window. So I'll create this server.js file here, And the first thing we need is actually to import packages. Import packages. And the first ever thing to import, we say constant value, constant variable express is equal require express. And this is how we import the entire Express framework into our web application. Okay, another thing we would actually need is called path, and this variable would be used in order to keep tracking of the current folder we are actually now at on our server, either on your local computer or even when you'll deploy this to some hosting over the internet. So we need actually to require path over here, and basically one more thing would be needed here. So let's create the constant value for the port we are going to listen at for the incoming requests from the front-end side or from our browser. And the port would be either like process environment port, and this one is a like a standard environment variable called port that is available on the operating system where the server is running actually. So well, in case of your local computer, it doesn't really matter much, but you can set any whatever port you actually want. But in case of some hostings, it might be predefined by default and you might not be able to change it. That's the reason for using this environment port variable. But otherwise, if it's not available, it might be in some cases might not be available. We would like to use the port number 5000, and that's kind of default to use for our web applications. Okay, and now we want to use our app. Well, we didn't yet actually assign our app variables, so let's create const app is equal express method. So what this line does, we create a constant value variable called app, and it starts to be an object returned by the express method, which is the major method in the entire Express framework. And here we want just to use app.listen. Listen is the method that allows you to actually listen to the particular port, and here we will just be listening to the port. And probably in order to make it a bit more clear what particular port are we listening to, we actually can use some sort of console log in here. And now let me introduce one tricky thing in modern JavaScript that I really didn't know it exists, but well, a couple of days ago I realized that this is a really cool thing. And well, just before doing this, let me show you one thing. So in JavaScript we could have defined the function like this, say function, and then we have the argument 1 and the argument 2, and then actually the body of the entire function, right, like this. And the more tricky way of doing this, and also we can assign this to a variable, which is also pretty handy. But the alternative way of doing this is instead of writing this function name, well, in many cases we don't really need the name of that function, and it might be observed as some sort of a lambda function. Might be that's true to say like so. And we use a thing that is called arrow function in JavaScript. So well, this is how it looks like. We'll basically make this equals and greater than sign, and then we have our function body, and that's how we can define the functions when the function is a part of when the function serves as the argument passed to another function. And if only one statement is available over here, that basically even these curly braces are not really needed. So we can make something like console.log etc. and make it something over there. So that's exactly what we are supposed to do here. And basically our function, our login function, is not really going to have any arguments passed to it. So just simply we want simply to log to console the port number. So we want to actually, and here we're using the symbols. I don't really know how they are pronounced in English, sorry guys. It's not the quotes, it's like back quotes, something like that, I don't know. And here would like to say server started on port, and now $, and our port variable like this. So this would actually print what particular port are we listening to while running our server. Well, and basically this is already enough to start our server. So I save this now, and here, okay, just like this. And over here I would like to, let's see our cheat sheet, npm run dev. Well, here it's in the cheat sheet this is called dev, but in our case this is called apparently debug. And let me just check this one more time. Yeah, it's called the debug. Okay, so npm run debug. Okay, so I don't know what I changed there. Okay, so npm run debug, and I hold my breath and press enter. Okay, and it works. Okay, so the console has logged successfully that the server has been started at port 5000, and basically we're gonna see an error at this port, but let me just demonstrate this. Well, that's because no content has been linked yet statically to our web server to host it. Okay, so if I just put here localhost 5000, this is it. So he actually printed cannot actually handle the get method here. And this one backslash, it means that we're in the home, like in a home directory, like in a home page, something like that. Well, and in order to handle this little stuff over here, the thing we need is actually called set static folder. So let me just demonstrate this. So the thing we are supposed to do actually now, well, just before that actually create app instance. Well, this is important. Yeah, this is important also. So let me just copy paste this little command here. So, oh, sorry, like this. So we have to actually, and you can see that as far as we're actually changing something in our file over here, now I press Ctrl S. So the server has been restarted, and that's how the node mom works. And this is really handy. You can't really even imagine this. It's just a fantastic feature available to us. Okay, so create an app instance, and now we want to actually set static folder or link static folder, wherever you like to call this. And here we want to use app.use method, and here we use the express instance, express.static. So there already exists a method called static in the express instance, and here we would like to use our path variable and the method called join, like this. So here we are supposed to join the path of the folder we are going to provide a static web service for. Okay, and in order to get the current directory location, we need to use a double underscore core dir name, directory name, dir name, variable that holds that path, and also, and another the second argument here is the name for the folder we're going to store our actual content, and let's call this folder just like docs. Save. Okay, and basically, guys, well, this is it. Our server has been actually created. The rest to do is actually to, well, I've already kind of prepared this little docs folder in order not to spend ages during recording this video, and let me just briefly demonstrate what does it actually contain. So imagine this file, this folder just contains some user content that is very important for him, and he wants to make a site out of his content. So let's enter it, and we have two web pages here, and let me just briefly show you the content of those. So these are quite pretty standard. Okay, well, it doesn't work. Okay, so I just want it like this. Okay, so it's really bare bones HTML document over here, but it already kinda has a link to some styles saved in CSS folder, which is available over here, and here are our little styles. Well, very basic stuff, just in order to demonstrate this, as far as this is not a front-end tutorial but the back-end instead. Well, this is just very brief, just to give you an idea how it works. Okay, and also even some very primitive where is my JavaScript about? Oh, okay, it's an index. And even a very simple JavaScript available here. So the JavaScript is actually saved in JS folder, and this is a single alert message here. So just to give you an example of how it actually works, like the pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in one single static web page. Okay. So these are basically the files, and please know that we're not really going to well, kinda make any we're not gonna tell our server the names of this particular file, so we just link statically the entire folder, this docs folder, and it does all the things for us. And let me just demonstrate this. I just copy this folder here and paste it over to our working project. So paste like over here, and just well, maybe before doing that, let me also briefly show you this package.json file. It has to be, yes, so when nothing is specified, so no path is specified, so like this, so it's like a home page. Then by default the app is going to look at, oh my goodness, where is this? Okay, the app is going to look for the file called index.js, which we already kind of have in our docs folder. Do we have it? Yeah. Oh no, guys, sorry, I'm fooling you. Sorry, it's not about that. Well, okay, I gotta get it clear from my own self later. Okay, so now let's just try to update. Okay, and good news. So our JavaScript has been invoked, and he says welcome to static web service. So this was kinda over in here. So our message has been displayed now, and as far as I press OK, you see the CSS has also been applied to our web page, and the browser actually displays it correctly. And if you just want to see the source, that it's the exact file we were saved in our docs folder. Okay, and now we also have another page called about.html, and here we have another page. Yeah, it's just not really much content over here, but still it kind of works. Well guys, this is it for this video. So in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in this only 6 kind of lines of code, we've just created a static web service. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and find this useful. If you want to follow some other videos on web programming that are about to arrive quite soon, I believe, for I am heavily learning web programming myself now, it's needed for my work, well then please subscribe the channel. And this is it, basically this is it for this video, so have a good time and take care.